And I'm going to try and give it... You could, that would be great, thank you. Try and give you a bit more of a sense of what it might be, and it's very much might be rather than what it is, because obviously it is research, and what we talk about later on today is going to be key in terms of how the framework develops. We, in our early discussions with DTAP, came up with some broad definitions of what we mean when we're talking about dance teaching, because it is a framework to regulate teaching, not to regulate the whole of dance. And it would be great to have your comments on some of these things later on. But basically, dance teaching, for the purposes of this exercise, we're not saying forever and a day, includes an intention to engage participants with artistic experience, integrate artistic and aesthetic values, employs creativity in teaching and learning, promoting creative responses. Participants experience a range of activities, including dancing, creating, performing, and watching performances. So when we talk about dance teaching, we're not only talking about teaching a group of people to learn a set of steps or teaching choreography, but the associated activities that go with that. And it includes teaching of a range of styles and forms. So it's in no way genre specific, it's generic in the same way as we were talking about when we were speaking of NOS this morning. Okay. So what might it be? And I say all this is very much up for grabs at the moment. I think there's a tendency when we think about progression to think about ladders. And I think if we have an idea about the framework at the moment, it's very much not a ladder, which only goes in two directions, up and down. And the climbing frame seems to express far more eloquently what it might be, that you can enter it on a number of different levels. There is a sense of progression through it, and your general trajectory is upwards, but it's very much not a direct route. And there are different destinations. So in this particular, you might want to go on the swings, or you might want to go to the top little hut. So, but it's very much about something where your movement through it as a practitioner can be in a number of ways, in a number of different dimensions. And then we've begun to look at what the building blocks of a framework might be, drawing on the conversations that we've had with the DTAP partners, and also very much on the other models that we looked at. And this, again, is not a definitive list, but it's a number of things that are, to some extent, common in the other frameworks that we looked at. So it could include an online register of teachers, an online register of CPD providers, and I'll talk a little bit more in a minute about the specifics of what those might include. It should include a map that references all the qualifications, and on the other side references NOS. So it's not about the framework necessarily embracing all of that, but it is about there being clear reference to the occupational standards on the one hand and recognised qualifications on the other. It could include a code of good practice that applicants to the register sign up to, and that could be expressed through some sort of quality mark or logo, which is a feature of some of the other models that we looked at. And most of the other models offer a range of online resources, from information to advice to other professional development online tools. So the register of teachers, assuming that does become one of the building blocks, would be web-based and searchable. There would be a minimum threshold, so there would be a very basic entry level where people came onto the framework. In signing up, you'd sign up to a code of practice and a commitment to CPD, and your qualifications and experience would be logged onto the register, so that somebody searching the register, an employer or a parent wanting to know more about dance teaching, would be able to find out more about the individual practitioner. And there could be a number of levels. A lot of the other models we looked at had a range of different entry levels, from a student registration through to fellowship, which is by invitation only. So I think the important thing about this is not just about recognising qualifications, it's about finding a way of recognising the professional skills and experience of anybody who is interested in signing up to and being a part of the register. So any qualifications you hold will be one part of that, but it's about finding ways of recognising and creating some notion of understandable equality across a whole range of experiences that dance practitioners have. Another element could be a register of CPD providers, and again this is something that other models that we looked at offered, and again this would be web-based and searchable. it would be a register of organisations offering CPD, not necessarily of the CPD itself. And so as a practitioner, as you sign up to a commitment to CPD, you are provided with a range of information about where registered and recognised CPD providers are and what kind of offer they're making. And so I would just stress that these are ideas in development, and what we would like to know from you is whether they begin to stack up in terms of something that would make sense to the profession as a way of finding a common way of understanding and talking about the skills that those teaching dance hold. We're happy to take questions now. And then we have 3 questions that we would like you to discuss in your breakout groups, which we'll leave up on the screen at the end.